In the spring of 1945, as the Reich collapsed, its people tried to burn a great many things. Most of it was what you would expect: weapons, records, evidence. But one site the retreating army tried hardest to erase was not a weapons lab and not a camp. It was a theater. This file is the account of the Allied officer who reached it first and understood, too slowly, what had been built there. It was not a bomb. It was a way to make a crowd believe anything, on command.
They sent me because I spoke the language and asked few questions. The place was underground, enormous, and it was wired like nothing I had seen. Not for power, for sound. Speakers ranked to the ceiling, a stage, banks of equipment I could not name, and cables running to seats bolted in rows, as if an audience were meant to be part of the machine. My orders said intelligence value unknown. I have never in my life felt a room want so badly to be forgotten. The files were half burned, but the diagrams survived. It was not propaganda, not in the way we meant the word, not lies printed on paper. It was a program to engineer a state of mind. They had a name for it that translates poorly. The closest is the consent state, a measurable, repeatable condition in which a crowd will believe what it is told and feel the belief is its own. They were not trying to persuade people, they were trying to remove the step where a person decides. And then I understood what I had already seen without knowing it. The great rallies, the ones filmed for the world, the Cathedral of Light they called it. 130 searchlights stood on end to make walls of white climbing into the night over a crowd of hundreds of thousands. The world thought it was spectacle, theatre. It was not theatre, it was the prototype. The architecture, the rhythm, the light, none of it was built to impress you. It was built to put you under. There was a tone. Beneath the speeches, below what the ear reports, a slow pulse the body hears without the mind. In the footage you can watch it take hold. Ordinary faces, clerks and mothers and boys, going slack and then bright, weeping, lifting their arms. And in the interviews the unit ran afterward, not one of them could say what they had been promised, or why they had wept, only that they had never in their lives felt so certain, or so held. The unit refined it like a science, because it was one. The exact tempo of the pauses, the precise frequency of the tone, the interval between the leader's phrases, timed to the length of a held breath, so that the whole crowd inhaled and released as one animal. They were not studying politics, they were studying the wavelength of belief. And they found it, and they wrote it down, and the writing survived the fire.
We did not invent belief, we only found its frequency. A crowd is an instrument, like any other, with strings that can be tuned and played. You imagine we corrupted these people. We did nothing to them. We learned the fingering, and we played what was already there, waiting in every one of them, to be told what to feel and be grateful for the telling. You are recording this as evidence of a crime. You will use it. Everyone who has ever held it has said, first, that they would only use it well.
That was the moment the fear changed shape. Because the horror was never that they had done it. Men have always tried to move crowds. The horror was that it worked, reliably, on anyone, on the good and the decent as easily as the cruel, because it did not ask what you believed, only that you stopped deciding for a while and let the room decide for you. Belief, it turned out, was not a virtue or a choice. It was a mechanism, and they had found the lever.
We are obliged to note what became of the program's records. They were not destroyed. When the war ended and the site was secured, the files Officer Ellery recovered were not burned, as he had asked. They were classified. They were divided among the victors. They were studied. The regime that built the instrument was ground to nothing. The instrument itself was carefully, quietly taken into other hands.
I tried to burn them myself, in the end. I had a drum and a match, and I had read enough. A senior man stopped my hand. He was not cruel about it. He said the thing had value now, that in the right hands it could hold a fragile piece together, that a tool has no politics. I understood then that we had not captured a weapon. We had inherited one, and that everyone who held it would tell themselves the same gentle story about the right hands.
Will want here to keep this safely in the past. We cannot let you. The consent state is no longer a secret or a weapon or anyone's in particular. It is a standard technique. It is in the sweep of lights over a stadium and the swell of a score under a speech and the cut of a montage timed precisely to the rhythm of a resting heart. It is in the feed that knows exactly when to make you feel part of something. The fingering that unit wrote down is played on you somewhere most days. It does not care who is playing it. It never did.
I lived a long time after. long enough to feel it everywhere, and to know exactly what it was, and to be no more able to resist it than any man in that old crowd with his arm in the air. That is the cruelty of understanding it. You feel the tone come in under the music. You feel your own breath begin to match the room. You know the fingering has begun, and you are moved anyway. Knowing the name of the thing that takes you does not give you back the step they removed.
Major Ellery's account ends there. We have cataloged the instrument's fingerprints, and we will not list them here, because to name them is to teach them. It is enough to say that you have felt them, in a film that made you sure, a song that made you belong, a speech that made a crowd of strangers breathe as one. Each time, a part of you that should have been deciding was, very gently, asked to sit down. We will be honest with you, because honesty is the only defense we can offer. This documentary was scored, paced, and cut using the very intervals Officer Ellery recovered. We did it on purpose, and we told you at the start that it was fiction. And if, in the last few minutes, you have felt moved, or certain, or part of something larger than yourself, we would like you to consider, carefully, how much of that was the story, and how much was the fingering. The regime is gone. The instrument is not. We cannot take it out of the world. We can only teach you its tune, so that the next time it is played on you, and it will be, you at least know that it is playing.